What's up, guys? So today we're changing the front brake pads and rotors on this 2006 BMW 325xi. And right here are the new rotor and ceramic brake pads. That way you don't have as much brake dust. And yeah, therefore it doesn't get on your rim and everything. Yeah, excuse the car is pretty dirty right now, but yeah, just take your lug nuts off. And then basically all you need to do is take your brake caliper off. Got 2 bolts to take your brake caliper off, and then change the pads, and obviously change the rotor as well. So yeah, you got a bolt right in here and a bolt down here, then the pad just slides off, and then obviously you gotta hit it with a hammer to get it off a little bit, because there's a lip here sometimes of rust, then it catches. So basically pull that off, and then you got a Allen bolt here that I take out, and then your rotor just comes out as well. So we're using a 16mm socket for the bolts in the back here. There's the first bolt, and then the bottom bolt looks exactly the same. It's just down here. So this is definitely not a professional way to do it, but if you have a ratchet and you can't get it loose, take your left hand and put it on here, and then you can take your hammer and hammer it down. But you obviously keep in mind that you might break your ratchet, so you want to have a pretty strong ratchet wrench before you do that. So that's just a tip you can use if you don't have any other tools to get it off. Basically you just got to take a hammer and hit this thing off. But so this rotor is wore down a little bit, so there's a lip here. So when I go to take it off, those brake pads are going to catch on this lip here. So what I'm going to do to make that I can get it off easier is I'm going to take this hammer, and I'm just going to hammer along here to break that rust lip off. That way, and then I'll twist it to, then I'll hammer this lip off, and then I'll twist it over here to where the brake pad is. That way I can pull it off easier. So. That's basically just rust buildup that happens from over time. So yeah, I mean, you're not doing any damage by knocking it off. Now let's turn. So we did this section here, so we're going to turn that section so that it's lined up with the brake caliper right here. Give it a couple good taps, try and break it loose and everything, and then it helps a lot if you like pull on it a little bit while you're hammering on it. And you can also take a pry bar or a screwdriver, put it in here, and pry this up. I already did the other side and I didn't need a pry bar, but this side I'm using the pry bar because it's, yeah, definitely tighter than the other side was. So I just got my brake caliper right here. I just put it there on the control arm, that way you just want to make sure there's not pressure on this line here. So just make sure you put it up on something. You can put a pail there or something to prop it up on too. And then you're going to need a 6mm Allen wrench to get your bolt off here, which you got to take off in order to get your rotor off. So I got the rotor off. It actually came off pretty easy. Just had to hammer from the back here and it popped right off. So I just clean that up and just spray some anti-seize or put grease on it or something. I'm just using WD-40. That way the next time you want to take it apart, it doesn't come apart as hard. And then just grab your new rotor. And obviously these are drilled and slotted, so they go on a certain way. Like this is for the driver's side, and the other one's obviously for the passenger side. Because if you mix them up, then the lines are going to be, these lines are going to be the opposite way. So the lines would be like that instead of like this. That makes sense. So pop that thing on there. Just line up your hole for the small bolt. So the rotor's on, got the bolt put in with the Allen wrench, and now we're doing brake pads. So just take a screwdriver, come in here and pop this one out. It's a good idea to check them out before you take them out. That way you know how to put your new ones back in. Pry this one out. Obviously these are wore down pretty much basically all the way, so that's why I'm changing them. And it was about the same price to get new rotors. It was about the same price to get a kit with new rotors and brake pads than it was to get just a brake pad. So I was like, might as well change them both. So pull this one out. This one actually obviously has the brackets on the back, so yeah, you can't really get them mixed up. And I actually have my sensors for the brake pads bypassed. So that's why you haven't seen any sensors on my brake pads. So normally a lot of cars would have a sensor that's right here on the brake pad, or this one would normally have it. And so what I did is I just pulled it off. Like my brake pads were almost wore down, so the sensor was going off. So right here is actually the wires for it. And all you do is you just splice those wires together. Just go into your car, and when it shows that your brake pads are low or wore down, you just reset it after you splice these two wires together. Yeah, that's if you want to bypass them. If you don't want to bypass them, then yeah, it doesn't matter. I just didn't really see a point of having it for me, because I usually just check to see if they're wore down. So now what you have to do is take a C-clamp to... take any C-clamp like this, and then what you want to do is you want to press the cylinder back in. So like that cylinder presses out once you brake, then now you want to press it back in that way so that you can get both brake pads in plus get the rotor in between both brake pads. So it's completely compressed. Right here you can tell, I mean, these two should be together. That way you know that it's completely compressed. If you don't have it compressed all the way, then yeah, you won't be able to get both your brake pads in while getting it over the rotor when you go to put it back together. So yeah, just do that and then take your C-clamp back off. Now we're putting this brake pad in first. So yeah, the brackets can be a little bit of a pain to get this thing in, or actually both of them, just because everything is so tight and everything. Go in there with your needle nose and then compress those two. Press those two clamps together a little bit. Just press them together far enough so that you can get them back into there. So you can get them inside that cylinder. So I got it in there. That's what it looks like. Just make sure everything goes in there, and then just press it all the way back. And then right here, that arm has to go under here. And the same on this side. When you're putting this on, you're going to have to pull this bracket right here. You're going to have to pull this thing upwards so that you can get your brake pad under there. So like the arm of the brake pad comes out and then it goes under there. So you got to pull this bracket up. That way it goes in there. And the outer pad just goes like this. And then it also has to go underneath that arm there, so you have to pull this bracket right here. You got to pull it upwards so that you can get it under there. So the brake pad is kind of stuck right here. There's like a small indent thing here, so you just want to go in here with your screwdriver and lift it up, pry it upward a little bit. That way it goes over that hump. Just go in there, pry up, and then you can get it over. So the caliper's back on. I put my bolt in up here. Now it's just to put the bolting down on the bottom here. Just gonna pop it in there. And then that cylinder that's in here that pushes the brake pads back together, I actually had to compress it a little more with the C-clamp before I got it on, because it came out a little bit again by itself. So if it doesn't go on, then you might have to compress it back a little bit more. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So the wheel's on, got everything torqued down and everything. Yeah, it's like I said, excuse the dirtiness of the car, but you can kind of see here what it looks like with the drilled and slotted rotors. Yeah, you obviously can't. You can easily see it, but it would stick out a lot more if there'd be aftermarket rims on the car. But so yeah, that's what it looks like. I just changed the rotors because the rotors were bad that were on it anyway, and the brake pads were bad too. So I just went and changed them both. So yeah, that's what it looks like. I hope it helped you out a lot watching this video, if you're planning on doing it to your car and all that. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. Please like and subscribe. Let me know what you thought about the video. Yeah, put questions down below and I'll see if I can answer whatever questions you have. Here's the passenger side.